Hello, wonderful. It is Sarah, and I'm here with Melanie Tonia Evans. She is a world-renowned narcissistic abuse recovery expert and has changed so many lives. And I'm so excited to have you on here. How are you?
I'm great, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
So I am really excited about our topic, as I know you are too. And we're going to
Mm.
talk about a narcissist effect on children,
Yeah.
right? Why is this such an important topic to talk about?
Oh, it's one I'm very passionate about. And I know you are, Sarah, too, because really it's that programming that a child gets at a very, very early age, which is going to set up their inner love code and then clearly how they're going to relate to their relationships and their dynamic in the future. And it's challenging with a narcissist. It's
Well,
hard for kids to grow up anyway, but this is definitely a challenge.
and it affects their relationships with themselves too. It's not just about relationships with others. But if you have a
And
narcissistic parent, yeah.
that's exactly it, Sarah.
Mm.
And it's always the relationship with self that sets up the template for how you're going to be in relationship with life and others.
And what do you
100%.
see if a child has had a narcissistic parent? What are some patterns you see or commonalities that you see from that experience?
Yeah, and look, Sarah, look, there's two ways it can go, and it's so much about the non-narcissistic parent leading the way or not leading the way. So if you have a narcissistic parent and the other parent is very stuck in their wounds and very, very stuck in their victimization, which of course is understandable, and then trying to fix and lecture and prescribe and help the child but not helping themselves, children actually get very damaged in that.
Okay, yeah, let's back up that just a second because I know that is such an important thing, right? So
It is everything.
it's
Everything.
everything,
It's
right?
everything. It's everything.
So talk about a mom. So pretend I'm a mom right now and I'm thinking, oh, my children have been through this horrible thing
Yeah.
and I'm just going to not worry about me. I'm just going to focus on the kids and try to do right by the kids and not worry
And
about
that's exactly what happens.
that's exactly what happens.
That's
So
exactly what happens. Yeah.
yeah, tell us why that shouldn't happen.
Oh gosh. And of course, that's a loving, caring mum, and that's what we do. And that's what I did initially as well. But what the thing is, our children come from us.
Mhm.
And of course, the narcissistic parent is completely unavailable and abusive. But if we're in our trauma, we are literally emotionally unavailable as well because they have no soft, sound, sane place to land. And I really love this analogy because it's everything. If you're in an aeroplane and it's losing oxygen, if you did not put your oxygen mask on first and you tried to get the ones on your kids while you are dying of lack of oxygen, you are likely to do a lot more harm than good. And I know it's counterintuitive and I know it's hard to hear, but when we really understand, and the same thing happened with my son, being in the narcissistic relationship and completely traumatized and broken. I was trying to get him to counseling. I was trying to fix him. I was trying to, but because I was so shattered and so traumatized, my energy was so off. It was scary, and I was interrogating him and I was, well, what's happening when he's around you and all of those things. And I was completely unsafe. And what I didn't, and my son used to look at me, and they're very smart. They're so wise, even when they're little. If they're saying, well, you're trying to tell me how to get well and you're not well, why should I respect you? Why should I listen to you? And children actually end up mirroring the narcissist in telling you that you are a mess and you are broken and you are this and you are that. Children are very honest and their emotional resonance is very, very honest. What I discovered with my son is when I let go of trying to fix and change him and I came inwards to fix and change myself and to heal and let go of my trauma and come back into a center of emotional honesty and truth, which also included when I was shattered and not taking responsibility, he'd go, Mum, are you all right? And I'd go, yes, I'm fine. trying to look after him, but I was lying to him. So his inner intuition was saying, hang on, I know mum's not. She's telling me that she is. My intuition must be wrong. So when I got very honest with my son and he'd say, Mummy, you were right. And I'd say, honey, I'm not. But I'm actually going to go into my room. I'm going to do a healing. I'm going to wail out my wounds. I'm going to make peace with myself and I'm going to heal. He started to feel like, oh my God, I can be safe.
And you're leading by example.
The way.
Right? You're leading in integrity, because it's really dishonest, right? To say,
it's incredibly dishonest.
Yes.
And we think we're saving them by lying to them, but what we are doing is we're pulling them out of their own inner integrity. And also too, we're not teaching them how to be with self in trauma and process it. We're teaching them how to disown themselves, how to abandon themselves, and how to disconnect from themselves, because we're doing it. We set them up for failure. Absolutely. And we don't know it. And my heart goes out to everybody who's doing this, because we think we're doing the right thing. The right thing is actually counterintuitive.
And I say the right thing is always leading in integrity and, doing what you say you're doing. Right. And even in I know we're not talking about romantic relationships, so I'm always telling women, well, why do you think a man's going to commit to you if you can't commit to yourself?
Perfect, Sarah. 100%.
Right.
And this is the same thing.
This is the same thing.
Your children is going to heal. Your child is going to heal if you're not leading the way by you healing you. They literally can't. They're going to have to wait till adults repeating the patterns of dysfunctional, toxic relationship, crash and burn, and then take responsibility for themselves. But if you take responsibility, you have the ability for your child, and they are so powerful, wise, and incredible. We have little 4-year-olds in our community with their mums leading the way that go into the rooms, they feel their trauma, they visualize it spiraling up and out, they bring source in, and they are learning how to shift their beingness because their mum or their dad does.
They have a model. They have a role model at that point. Yes. And I think it's such a great point that you're making, because in a toxic relationship, it's all about them. Then there's a breakup, there's a divorce, and then it's like, okay, now it's all about you, rather than doing the self-work of whatever's going on in here.
That's right. And Sarah, there's another really important point. In victimization, which is, of course, is normal, and I validate it, but we have to move out of it to heal ourselves and our children. And victimization is like, well, he or she, and let's just be very clear, this can happen to men too. It's not just
absolutely.
Okay. So when I'm saying he, I'm saying any narcissist of any gender. Okay. So let's say that he is not doing the right thing by the kids. He's not getting to them to sport. He's not paying he's not paying custody or maintenance okay. Now, if he doesn't turn up, he doesn't ring, he doesn't care about them. Now, if she is the mother, is in the trauma and the depression of that, and it's so disgusting that your dad doesn't do this and, blah, blah, blah. Well, then what will happen? Well, the child, absolutely, that's accentuated within the child. She may say, well, it's so terrible to the child. But if you don't shift it, they can't shift it. Then what's going to happen? Your child as an adult, their love code is going to seek out somebody irresponsible, abusive, and neglectful that they're going to cling on to try to make them be different. So it's a horrible pattern. And it will go for generations unless she heals and says, you know what? I can't control a narcissist. I can't make them do anything. The more I try to control them, the more out of control I'm going to be. I need to take my power back to be a source of love, approval, survival, and security, not just to me, but to us, so that you learn as you grow up that no longer am I going to cling to neglectful, abusive, irresponsible people trying to make them be good. I'm going to say, that's not a match for me. I have those resources and I can seek out more of the same. So vital.
It's so vital. And I want to wrap it back up to what you said to make sure they understand, because it was so good. So if we don't break the cycle, then our children recreate the cycle because they couldn't fix it as kids. So they recreate those relationships as adults so they could fix it then. Yeah.
100%. And I've had so many adults come into my program and my resources for the deep inner healing that is exactly the model that their childhood was.
And why do you think
that's exactly the model they're passing on to their children?
Yes. So taking care of yourself and doing the work is what is doing right by the kids.
100 million%.
I was going to say 100 million too. Not only do we have matching green on, we're like quantum thoughts right now. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So other than healing ourselves, is there any tips which is like, other than healing ourselves, which is like such a big statement, what other strategies do you have for a mom or dad in this situation wanting to do right by their children?
Yeah. Okay. And if you're co-parenting, you can't co-parent because narcissists don't cooperate. You have to parallel parent. So, I'd really, anybody listening to this, Google my name and parallel parenting. And then you're going to get some really powerful tips and understandings about how to parallel parent, because we do have a lot of people it's not a life sentence having to parallel parent with a narcissist. People say, well, it's people, stuck in the victimization. I've had 10, 15 years of this. It's shocking. It never gets better. That's not the truth. You can be parallel parenting with a narcissist and have an amazing life for yourself and your children of no limits. Truly. New partners, we have so many people that are just so unaffected. And the great thing is when you actually get into your power and parallel parenting, the narcissist stops the shenanigans because they do it for narcissistic supply. They do it to affect you. And narcissists have no inner energy resources. They have to do something to get a payoff. And people think, well, but I'm shattered, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. Narcissists are psychic vampires. Even if you're just feeling it and not even letting them know, they are still getting a feed off you. So everything is about you detaching, parallel parenting, healing yourself, creating an incredible life. And even if your children have got 50% of the time with a narcissist, you watch how evolved and incredible they become. They actually become like, my worth, my value, my thoughts, my feelings have got nothing to do with what somebody else is or isn't doing. What an incredible opportunity for life for them going forward into all sorts of relationships in their life. They can detach, empower them, and make beautiful, healthy choices.
So I love what you said about creating a life. I call it in my program, design a life you're excited about living. Okay.
I love that. And I love that you call your program that. It's perfect.
Yes. Well, because just like what you said before, because we have like the victim stage and then it's kind of awareness, right? But the good stuff is coming. It's the higher level. It's having that life. It's having that healthy relationship. It's having modeling that life for your kids, not just a life. We definitely make sacrifices for our children, but I've seen too many women get stuck as martyrs.
I agree. And you don't want to teach your children that. You don't want to teach. You want to teach them to be empowered, of course, kind and compassionate and into union and solution seeking and all those things. But you want them to be empowered to not need you.
Right. Say it again. Yes. Okay. That is such an important point. We need them, our children, to not need us. That is a healthy adult that moves away, right? Which can feel really scary after a divorce, breakup, right? Because it's like, oh, he didn't need me. He left me for some other woman or whatever, and my children need me. And it almost becomes its own codependent relationship, right?
Absolutely. And we need to get out of that, because the thing is too, narcissism is a codependent relationship. Yes. It's an exchange of toxic energy of neediness and obsession and trauma bonding rather than healthy definition and then sharing space in a healthy way. So we can't go, this is the thing, and I love that you brought this up, Sarah, because parents that go in with overcompensation for their children,
yes,
actually, and I did it too at the start, unknowingly create an enormous amount of damage and stunt healing. So you really have to, you've got to heal yourself. That's the foundational, vital, nothing will work without that. But when you're committed to that and parallel parenting, then you know you have to hold healthy boundaries with your children. They have to learn actions and consequences. Children like boundaries, they like limits, they like a solid parent who will say, okay, well, that's it. And now we're not going to argue. I'm not going to justify. I'm not going to prescribe. I'm not going to cave in. You will have my energy when you step up.
Yes, okay. You will have my energy when, and there's a behavior attached to that. And I really want to emphasize that, because even as we go back into dating or we go back into whatever it is, I'm happily married, but other people going into dating, you get me when you treat me well. I move towards you. When you treat me badly, I move away from you.
That's right. And without the lecturing and prescribing and feeling guilty and having to justify ourselves. And this is the thing, when we're in narcissistic relationships, we weren't doing boundaries like that. We were justifying, we were explaining, we were trying to get them to get it. Rather than just saying, I will only be attached to kindness, decency, honesty, loyalty, integrity. And if you're not those things, you don't have me. So you either need to step up or step out, and we need to look, this is the hard thing too with children, because it's not like we can just divorce our children, but your children 100% may be taking on narcissistic capacity. They could be they're either going to be the golden child, which is quite the narcissistic child, or they're going to be the scapegoat that's really sensitive, that's been very, very wounded. So you really have to lead the way with limits and boundaries, and of course love, but not creating them as a substitute for the love that you're not giving yourself.
Not using them as a substitute for the love you're not giving yourself. I love that. I love that. And not being able to teach them how to love themselves.
Exactly. When you start loving and healing yourself, this is what I love about children. You don't even have to tell them or show them anything. Where you go, they follow. It's an organic shift cellularly. Like, even if you've had that love bond with an adopted child, cellularly, I've seen the phenomena over and over again. I've even seen it happen by remote. I've seen it happen with adult children that aren't even living in your dimension. I've seen alienation come back when people have healed themselves and become whole. We've had people in our community that have been contacted after 32 years of silence.
Oh, love that.
Over and over and over and over again. So there is a quantum emotional inner integrity reality that supersedes the seen world. So really what we need to do is work at that level and then show up, as you were saying, in integrity.
Well, and I make a joke and I say, neediness isn't sexy.
Oh God, no.
Right?
We say here, neediness is the worst cologne.
Okay. Well, and your children can smell the stink.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. And, my son and I mean, he's now CEO of my company. He's 31. He's amazing. But we've talked about this, and he said, Mum, you were repulsive to be around. He said, I could not stand being in your energy when you were trying to fix me and change me and you didn't heal yourself.
Okay, let's go back to that.
Okay.
Think about when we are in toxic relationships, okay? And somebody's trying to fix and change us.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, we push back.
And so our kids do too.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so
Exactly.
our kids do too.
They will change when you change. You cannot. This is a quantum law. So within, so without. It operates with everything. If I'm in trauma and dissolution and I'm trying to change something out there to change me, well, then I'm actually only going to get more of my trauma and dissolution rather than solution. But if I come inside and I do the inner work to get back to love and wholeness and releasing my trauma and bringing in source, which is what my programs do, which give you a body shift and a mind shift, well, then you know what to do. You know whether to leave it alone, or you can show up in there in an empowered, solid, integrity-based way that will then bring it, but you know what to do. You know, when we're in trauma, we're thrown into amygdala. We are cut off from intelligence, higher intelligence, solution source, miracle, synchronicity from the field. We are cut off. We're just in trauma. We're in a very primitive fight and flee. And whatever we do in that place is going to bring more fight and flee. So you go to your kids like that, they're going to give you exactly what you don't want every time.
And you don't want to lose your kids, right? Emotionally or physically. And I think about it, if we are not in our power, kids tend to align with power. In parental alienation situations, sometimes that's what I've seen.
And they'll go to false power, which
false
will be
power. Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Alienation happens. It nearly happened to me. It was that close. He nearly left me for good. So look, it's heartbreaking. And people don't realize, when I hear people say, I have to get my child get who their father is or their mother is, you know, and I'm traumatized, I'm trying to get them to get it, you're going to lose your child.
My blood pressure was really high. As you were saying that, I thought, wow, that's a really bad strategy, is to try to, because kids see each parent as a piece of themselves.
Absolutely.
So if you are basically telling your child 50% of them is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then you want your child to draw close to you. I have never seen that work. I mean, maybe.
Oh, it can never work. And it happens all the time. And of course, because in a traumatized state, the parent's trying to protect the child by letting them know that they're with a monster, you know, and you're going to lose your child by doing that. You're also at a very, very severe threat, because the court system, and I know it's the same over there as well, like your family court system is very geared to put the child into the hands of the narcissist if you give them ammunition. It's horrific, but it's the way it is. So this forces us even more to get into your power, lead the way. You have to let go while your child is parallel parenting. But when you have your child, you are leading with empowerment, you are leading with integrity, and you're leading with the messages of, you know, well, that is just your dad or your mum. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you're not amazing and you can't create your life, and that you can't create boundaries. And, you know, and really you're watching me do it, you know, so you're seeing that, you're following that.
And you're feeling that.
God works it out. You know, my son didn't know who to believe, and I was the most messed up. So of course he was pulling away from me, because narcissists are very, very comfortable in toxic dark energy. They're very comfortable in that because they're getting a feed and they're toxic dark people, but we're not comfortable in that. So we break apart, and you are the least enjoyable to be around. They're going to go into the narcissist.
Yes, yes. And it's so sad, and it's not fair, and it's so true. It's so true.
And we have to work within what is.
Yes.
But when you get empowered and straight and you're a beautiful solid presence, I tell you what, your child works it out. And that's when my son used to say to me things like, he got it. Not because I forced him to get it. He got it just because they go where the energy feels the best. And even though narcissists can play and they have all the money and the toys and the this and the that, and, you know, the big kids themselves and whatever, a solid, beautiful parent in integrity and love and truth and good boundary function, kids would much prefer that every time. And they will come to you.
Because it's peaceful versus chaos.
Exactly. And it's the language of their soul. It's the language of all of our souls without trauma.
And it also teaches them a safe space to be able to get in touch with their own intuition.
100%.
Right? Because they're not feeling your storm, your internal storm.
It's so true, Sarah.
Right?
I love that. That's perfect. It's
yeah.
really.
Well, thank you. I tried. Just kidding.
No, you're great. You're so on the page. You get it.
Yeah.
You really, and we're helping other people get it, because it's hard. It's very hard to get this. And it's not like, Sarah, you know, people are thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I get there? Like, it's not something you can just wake up one morning and click your fingers and make your mind up, because you're so traumatized and broken. That's where, and you are much better to let go of trying to lead the way for your kids and just get your oxygen mask on. Do the bits and pieces you can. Do the bare basics. It's hard to even, you know, put food on the table and go to work and get them to school. You know, it's just so hard. Just do those bits, and every spare moment you have to yourself, start on your own inner healing and recovery.
I love it. And take the next right step.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes they see us and it feels like so far away, right? And figuring out that next right step and building those small wins so you feel like you get momentum. Rather, we got married. My husband and I got married in Capri, Italy. You know, you see our wedding photos with the mountains behind. It's so gorgeous. And people like, oh, that's what I want. And I was like, okay, there was a lot that happened between, you know, you can't let that be your only win because it feels so far away.
Exactly.
Right?
And even the little wins get so amazing. You know, like when you detach from the narcissist and you don't get hooked in, and then you're doing the inner work and you go, that didn't even trigger me.
Yes.
Like that is like going to Italy.
Yeah, in many ways it's better. The food's not as good. So what advice would you have if you feel like you need to apologize to your kids? Okay. Like maybe you're at a place that you were kind of at a dark space longer than you wanted to be. And you think, what should I tell my kids? Should I say anything? What would your advice be?
This is a perfect conversation, because don't apologize to your kids if you're needing a response back to feel okay. I would really say to you, it's much better to just heal and lead the way, because you may unconsciously be going, well, I'm going, sorry. So that they say, oh, that's okay, Mum, I forgive you. And they may stonewall you. Like, if you're still in your ego and your trauma, it's not going to work.
Actions speak louder than words. So show them through actions, right?
Yes. And just get yourself well, you know.
Well, how do you help get people well?
And then you'll have that conversation down the track. I've had that conversation with my son when I took full responsibility. And when I said that to him, and I put him through hell and back, absolutely. And I owned every bit of it. And he said, Mum, you weren't that bad. He goes, Mum, I love you. And I'm so proud of you. Because, and that was, you know, but he wouldn't have said that if I'd have said it at the start when the lampshade came off and I'm like, I'm actually damaging you. But this is another thing too. Like, you're going to feel a lot of shame and guilt. You know, oh my God, I've been doing it all wrong. And it's just another way we can beat ourselves up and traumatize ourselves. I really want you to know that every soul, including your child, chose on a soul level to go through this journey for their own evolution. There's no mistakes here. No mistakes. And they can get this said and done now as kids to have the most incredible adulthood if you lead the way. So stop beating yourselves up. Stop thinking it was wrong and that you made mistakes, even if you did shocking, disgusting things, which I did too. Yeah.
I love it. Tell people about you, where they can find you, how you help people heal. Give us a little brag book.
Okay. All right. So you can go to melanietoniaevans.com. And okay, a little bit of the brag book. Humbly, I think now my work has touched, 6 million people worldwide. We have thousands and thousands of people have been graduates of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program. My gold standard program to heal the fastest, quickest, most powerful way is the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program. That has healed so many people from the most incredible depths that you could even imagine. And the support that comes with that is incredible. There's a whole community that backs you 24/7. You have everything you need with that one resource, no matter what you've lost, what you're going through, how old you are. We have 80-year-olds that now are in beautiful new relationships.
Aww.
That have had alienated children from decades ago, reconnected, and their grandchildren. They're completely free of trauma. They're learning piano. They're writing books. They're doing, because people say at 40, I'm too old. I've lost too much, and I promise you, your soul is timeless, and it's waiting for you to release the trauma and to claim your true self and true life. And that's what my program is all about. That's why it's not just mere rubbish surviving. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Me neither. Very good.
It actually disgusts me.
Yes.
Because, why live a life with a diminished, all these trauma symptoms and PTSD and agoraphobia and all that stuff the rest of your life, and have no trust in yourself, life, and others, and not live fully. My stuff is about you will live more fully than what you ever have as a result of what you've been through, and the healing that you can do to reprogram your inner love and life code to your true self and true life. So the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program, it's less than 3 counseling sessions. It's fully guaranteed money back. You can pay it off monthly. You get it immediately. It's a resource for life that can clear trauma on any topic in your life, not just abuse. So
I love it.
That's what I would suggest. I also have a ton of free resources that you will see on my website. Your 16-day free program. There's a free webinar that you can come into to find out more about the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program, which is NARP. Just get on there and just, go around. But if you're ready, NARP is the gold standard. Yeah.
I love it. So check her out, MelanieToniaEvans.com, right? She's easy to Google. Thank you so much for coming on here and giving us some insight for our babies.
Well, I'm so passionate about this because, it's up to us to heal this rubbish, get out of these abuse trauma programs for our children and their future generations.
I love it.
It's us that can do it now.
I love it. Thank you so much for helping us on our journey to becoming toxic person proof.
Yay. You're welcome, Sarah. Bye-bye, everybody.